In the quaint town of Willowbrook, where the streets were lined with ancient oaks and the air was thick with the scent of blooming lilacs, lived a couple named Mark and Elise. Mark, a man of simple pleasures and hard work, was known for his dedication to his family, working 2 jobs to ensure they lived a comfortable life. Elise, once vibrant and full of life, now seemed to carry a shadow around her laughter less frequent, her smiles forced. Mark toiled away at his first job as a mechanic, his hands stained with grease, his mind focused on the future he was building for his family. His second job was at a local diner, where the late-night shifts meant he often missed the quiet moments at home. The exhaustion was a badge of honor for him, a testament to his love and commitment to Elise and their 2 children, Lucy and Ben. Elise, however, felt the weight of loneliness. Her days were spent in the shadow of Mark's absence, her nights filled with the hum of the refrigerator and the ticking of the clock. She loved Mark, but the void left by his absence was cavernous, and into this void crept whispers of doubt and longing for connection. It was at a local art class, meant to be a distraction from her solitude, that Elise met Thomas. Thomas was everything Mark was not. Charismatic, always present, and deeply attentive. His paintings were bold and expressive, much like his personality, and soon, Elise found herself drawn to the warmth he exuded, a stark contrast to the cold emptiness of her home. Their friendship started innocently enough, with shared interests in art and literature, but it wasn't long before the lines blurred. Thomas's compliments, once about her artistry, began to encompass her beauty, her grace. Elise knew she was treading on dangerous ground, but the thrill of feeling seen, of being desired, was intoxicating. Mark, oblivious to the storm brewing at home, continued his relentless schedule. He worked until his muscles ached and his eyes blurred, dreaming of the day he could afford to spend more time with his family. He believed in the sacrifices he was making, unaware that his absence was not just physical, but had left an emotional void that was being filled by another. The affair began one evening after a gallery opening where Thomas had displayed his latest work. The wine, the music, and the electric atmosphere of the night led to a kiss that was both a beginning and an end. Elise felt the rush of guilt and exhilaration, her heart torn between the life she knew and the passion she now tasted. As weeks turned into months, the secret meetings between Elise and Thomas became a routine, each encounter laced with the risk of discovery and the thrill of forbidden love. They met in cafes, in art studios, in the quiet corners of the town where they were least likely to be seen. But secrets, like shadows, grow larger when they try to hide. Mark, sensing a change but attributing it to his own exhaustion, decided to surprise Elise with a day off, a rare gift of his time. He arrived home with flowers, eager to reconnect, only to find the house empty. The warmth he expected to find was replaced by an eerie silence, and for the first time, Mark felt a pang of suspicion. Elise was with Thomas in a moment of careless abandon, believing Mark was at work. They were in Thomas's studio, surrounded by canvases that captured their illicit love. It was here that Mark found them, the door left slightly ajar, revealing a scene that would shatter his world. The confrontation was explosive, Mark's pain turning into rage as he saw his wife in another man's arms. Words were exchanged, harsh and cutting, revealing months of betrayal that had festered in the dark. Elise's tears, Thomas's silence, and Mark's disbelief painted a scene of chaos and heartbreak. Thomas was the first to leave, his departure an acknowledgement of the mess he had helped create. Elise stood there, her life unraveling before her, her betrayal laid bare. She tried to explain, to reach for Mark, but he recoiled, his heart hardening with every word she spoke. Mark left, not knowing where he was going, just that he needed to escape the reality of his shattered trust. He walked through Willowbrook, the town now a maze of his own grief. He ended up at the diner, where he had spent countless hours, now seeking solace in its familiarity. Elise, alone in the aftermath, faced the mirror of her choices. She saw not just the woman who had sought love outside her marriage, but a mother who might lose everything. The weight of her actions pressed down on her, the joy of her affair now turning into the heaviest of burdens. The children, Lucy and Ben, sensed the tension, the absence of their father more pronounced than ever. They asked questions that Elise couldn't answer, their innocence a sharp contrast to the deceit that now defined their home. She tried to shield them, but the truth was seeping in, like ink through paper. Mark, in his solitude, began to piece together the signs he had missed. The late nights, the excuses, the new clothes, the art supplies that seemed to multiply. Each memory was a stab, a reminder of his ignorance and trust misplaced. His hurt morphed into a cold, calculated fury. He decided to confront the situation head-on. Returning home, he demanded answers, not just from Elise, but from himself. Why had he not seen this coming? Why had he allowed work to consume him, leaving his marriage vulnerable? The questions were as much for Elise as they were introspective. Elise confessed everything. The loneliness, the affair, her regret. She spoke of Thomas as a mistake, a lapse in judgment that she now wished she could undo. But words once spoken and actions once taken could not be undone. Their marriage, once a sanctuary, now felt like a war zone. Mark's decision was not immediate. He wavered between love and betrayal, forgiveness and revenge. He loved Elise, but could he ever trust her again? The nights were long, filled with arguments, tears, and silent stares into the void of their once-shared dreams. The town of Willowbrook began to whisper. Gossip spread like wildfire, turning their personal tragedy into public spectacle. Neighbors, friends, even strangers at the diner looked at Mark with pity or at Elise with judgment. The community's eyes were a constant reminder of their fall from grace. Thomas, feeling the weight of his role in this drama, left Willowbrook, his departure a silent apology, though one that could never truly mend what was broken. His absence left Elise even more isolated, her lover gone, her husband unsure, and her children confused. Mark, in his quest for understanding, began to see his own faults. He recognized the void he had left in his marriage, not just with his absence but with his unawareness of Elise's needs. He started to question if his dedication to work had been at the cost of his family, if his sacrifices were truly for them or for his own sense of duty. Elise, on her part, tried to rebuild. She poured her heart into her art, each stroke a prayer for forgiveness, each color a shade of her remorse. Her studio became her refuge, where she could confront her guilt and perhaps find a way to heal. They decided on counseling, a last attempt to salvage what was left of their marriage. The sessions were raw, painful, but necessary. They spoke of unmet needs, of communication lost, and of the temptations that come with emptiness. It was here that they began to see each other not just as betrayer and betrayed, but as two people who had lost their way. Lucy and Ben, caught in the middle, were the silent witnesses to this turmoil. Mark made an effort to be more present, to be the father his work had often prevented him from being. Elise focused on being there for them, trying to repair the trust she had broken. The affair, though ended, left scars that would take years to heal. Mark and Elise learned to navigate their new reality, one where trust had to be rebuilt brick by brick. They decided to stay together, not for the sake of appearances, but for the hope that love could find its way back through the rubble. However, the journey was not linear. There were moments of doubt, days when the past seemed to loom larger than the future. Mark sometimes felt the sting of jealousy, the ghost of Thomas still haunting their home. Elise struggled with the guilt, the fear that her actions had permanently altered their family's path. Yet in their struggle they found moments of genuine connection, glimpses of the love that had once been their foundation. They learned to talk about everything, even the painful parts, understanding that healing was not about forgetting, but about integrating the past into a new narrative of their life together. They made changes. Mark reduced his hours, finding a balance between providing and being present. Elise, with her art, began to teach classes, turning her passion into a means to connect with others, to give back, to find redemption. The story of Mark and Elise became a testament to the complexities of love, the destructive power of jealousy, and the potential for redemption after treason. Willowbrook watched, some with disdain, others with hope, as this couple tried to forge a new path from the ashes of their old life. In the end, their story was one of resilience. It was about learning that love, like art, requires constant creation, adaptation, and sometimes the courage to start anew. And as they walked through Willowbrook, hand in hand, the town saw not just the remnants of a scandal but the possibility of renewal, of love reborn from the fires of betrayal.